Hey everybody, I decided I am going to do a quick post-season follow-up on some of the switchgrass here, just for folks that have been kind of following along, seeing how it works here in Minnesota for standing up through our tough fall and winter elements. So this is that second year stand of Shawnee, and as you can see, it's actually holding up really well so far. We've had, probably at least half a foot of snow throughout the fall. And when it snows, it normally kind of maybe folds it over a little bit. But as soon as that snow starts to warm up and melt and fall off the stalks, the switchgrass bounces right back up. So none of it's folded over right now, which is a little different than my third year cave-in rock. I'll show that, but the third year cave-in rock is a little bit more lodged. So yeah, second year Shawnee. Now that it's kind of dried down, it's not green, it's all pretty consistently at least 5 feet tall in the second year. Some of it's 6 or 7 feet tall. Most of it's 5. Next year, theoretically, it could get to 6 to 7 feet. The third year stand will show its full potential. There are deer tracks in here. The deer have been cutting through here. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful sea of grass. There are really no spots where I see much for lodging. And it probably helps when it's a little bit shorter. Here it's a little folded over. But when it's a little bit shorter like this, it's probably not as apt to lodge. So we'll see when it gets to be, when it's a third year stand, if I have a little bit more lodging. Because I feel like the cave-in rock was the same way. That second year's worth of growth, it didn't lodge quite as much, but this year it's so tall. And some of it was 8-9 feet that you're gonna have some lodging. So yeah, I got a little bit up here, looks like. This is where it was taller too, so a little bit of lodging. But I imagine as that snow melts off, it should bump back up. Yeah, second year Shawnee. Looks real good. Sure is pretty too. I like having these spots like this where there's no switchgrass growing. You see there's a lot of deer tracks in this area. This is where I'll tend to find beds. I saw it last year. I noticed more bedding in this into December, January, just for that thermal cover. But it definitely came up pretty thick. With my stuff I planted this year, I'm going to try for more of those kind of diversity pockets where there's areas where there's no switchgrass. Because during season and late summer, that's where the deer seem to want to bed more. Just when they've got these dead spots where there's not switchgrass cover. Yeah, there's the overview. Second year Shawnee. Alright, check out some more stuff. Alright, so this is the third year cave-in rock. I was very impressed with this stuff in the summer. Boy, there's a lot of deer tracks here. Ooh. Having that corn helps. I was very impressed with this cave-in rock in the summer. This was just a little test plot I did. But it's definitely knocking down quite a bit here so far this fall. Like I said, we've had half a foot of snow and most of it's melted, but it's lodged quite a bit of it here. You can see there's some lodging there. There's a fair amount of lodging right here. I mean, there's still a good amount standing, but I mean, once we start having the normal Minnesota winter, I would anticipate this will probably knock down quite a bit more. So we'll see how it responds to warm days. And I mean, height-wise, it's very impressive. Like, this stuff is got to be not all of 9 feet tall in spots. And I checked this out the other day. There's quite a few beds, areas like this. I could see fresh beds. So maybe the deer do actually like having some of the stuff lodged. Kind of makes them not feel as kind of trapped. Like, this was a spot there was a big bed in right here. But yeah, if you're looking for something that's gonna consistently stand up, it looks like this stuff definitely has some lodge potential to it. So I don't know, I added some cave-in rock this year, but I also did some real world and more Shawnee. There's another spot there was a deer bed. So we'll see over time which one I end up liking the most. So far, there's a cool spot. So far, I'm definitely kind of favoring the Shawnee, but we'll see what happens over time. So this is 3rd year cave-in rock. I mean, height-wise, extremely impressed, but it does seem to be knocking down a little bit more. And when I was talking to the one company I got my Shawnee from, they rated the Shawnee with the cave-in rock, and they did say the Shawnee was supposed to stand up better according to their tests they've done. So, all right, I'm gonna go to one more spot, kind of talk about what we're doing in our fallow field area. All right, I want to do a little follow-up on one other area. So this is that old field area. We burnt it this summer. I added in some switchgrass pockets and tried to release the more herbaceous plants in this area. So I just want to show what one of these areas looks like in the upper Midwest and the end of November, because a lot of guys like to promote this kind of vegetation, and I think it's great for a lot of reasons, but I want to show why it leaves some things lacking too in Minnesota half of the year, basically. So first off, I got some switchgrass pockets in here. If you look out over this whole area, I mean, it is fairly sparse, the switchgrass. I mean, right now is the best time to analyze it to see what I got, because everything else is laying flat. Switchgrass is the only thing that'll stand up. And I can see it's pretty sparse, but I'm gonna next spring I'm gonna make sure that I get a decent stand out of this yet by spraying the cool season grass before the switchgrass germinates. I'll do my simazine a couple weeks before anything germinates, a couple weeks before green up, and try to revive this area, because for all intents and purposes it looks like this was a fail because it's so sparse. But I mean, there's switchgrass even, I think, in this area and up on the hill, but I thought that 3rd year stand of cave-in rock was a fail too, and it blew up the 2nd year because I made sure to get ahead of that cool season grass. So we had a big foxtail issue in this area and just couldn't get ahead of the foxtail. It outcompeted the switch, but I was digging around in there, and I think there's plenty of switch that's in there, and I'm sure there's some that didn't germinate too. So if I can get that cool season grass out, I think I'm gonna have a healthy stand of switchgrass in here, regardless of what it looks like right now. But I'm sure I'll show how I attack that this spring, and I'll definitely do a follow-up to see if I was right in my theory or not. So here's that area I showed. I did a video on it, just kind of showing what it looks like when you release the seed bed and you get all those herbaceous broadleaf plants coming. There's a lot of milkweed, goldenrod, prickly lettuce, all kinds of other things in this area. Well, now about the only thing still standing is the milkweed. Everything else is laying pretty darn flat. The milkweed will start laying down too once we get the heavy snow. So it does have some limited benefits. This is not thick enough for a deer to bed in. There's not a whole lot of other wildlife in here right now. I guess I see a couple deer tracks here and there. But if somebody's telling you in the upper Midwest to, like, you should do a lot of this kind of habitat on your farm, it's gonna leave a lot to be desired for half the year because there's no food, no cover. Whereas switchgrass at least gives you cover, throughout the winter. So that's why I like to try adding more of that type of stuff and just leave these as kind of those diversity pockets. So there is switch mixed into these areas. It didn't come very good at all in here because I tried a growing season planting instead of a frost seeding, and you can see it off in the distance. I still think I can recover this area too, but we'll see. So I still love it. I love this area because, like I've said, it's great fawning cover, good brooding cover for turkeys. It gives a lot of food in the summer, but the summer is also when whitetails have an overabundance of good stuff to eat, so you don't necessarily need this, but it was a lot better than what it was. It was cool season grass before, so when I released the seed bed and knocked the cool season grass back, it gave me a lot of other plants that actually have some wildlife benefit. Cool season grass just does not have any benefit at all. So I'm happy with it. I was really glad with how it turned out, and I was expecting this though too in the winter, that it wouldn't be doing much in the winter. So that's why I do a lot of other stuff in the form of some of my switchgrass pockets and more in just the form of woody browse, because that's what our deer survive on in the winter in Minnesota. They need that high stem count woody browse. And I'm sure I'll be adding some of that into these areas in the future too. Let the box elders come and maybe add in some American plum, things like that. So that's the follow-up. Hope you're all having a good day. It's Thanksgiving today. I don't know if I'll get this uploaded today. Probably not, but hope you have a blessed Thanksgiving. God bless and take care.